Tottenham Hotspur will face either Galatasaray or Atlético Madrid in the last 16 of the Champions League. Gazzetta in Italy are stating that Juventus have now opened talks with Vicario about a possible move in the summer. TalkSport have stated that Tottenham have not been in touch with Mauricio Pochettino. Reports are stating that there is interest from Spurs in Uruguay striker Darwin Núñez. Pedro Porro and Porro and Danso are back in training. They will hopefully be in Tottenham's squad as Spurs will travel to Fulham on Sunday. Opta have given Spurs a 4.8% chance of going down. And Igor Tudor has come out and said, "I'm confident of Spurs staying up." Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. This is another edition of Tottenham News, where I'll be going through all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you listen to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Now, I'd just like to tell you about a charity challenge that Craig Diomande, channel regular, and myself will be taking on in March. We will be abseiling down the side of the South Stand at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, raising money for the London ambulance service. If you can help us, please do so. Here are all of the details. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now, myself and channel regular Craig Diomande will be supporting the London Ambulance charity by taking part in the big stadium abseil on the 19th of March 2026. Now, I've got to say, I actually did the Skywalk a couple of years ago, and this was a big thing for me because I am not that fond of heights, and neither is Craig, to be honest. But this time it is going to be completely different because we are both abseiling down the side of the South Stand, and we are absolutely petrified. Now, the London Ambulance Service actually approached us to do this to raise as much money as we can for them. I couldn't turn this down because, of course, this place is very close to my heart. Now, we will be descending down 42 metres back to the ground, raising vital funds for life-saving equipment and CPR training across London, as well as supporting well-being initiatives for the dedicated staff. Now, if you can help us and donate anything you can, the link is on the screen now. It is www.justgiving.com/page/Tottenham Stadium, and your support is always really, really appreciated. Now, if you'd actually like to get involved and join Craig and I on the 19th of March at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium by taking part in the Skywalk and abseiling down the side of the South Stand, it would be great to see you there cheering us on, and we can also cheer you on as well. But get involved, visit the London Ambulance website for all of the details, and thank you so much for all of your incredible support. So let's start by talking about some comments from interim boss Igor Tudor. He has come out and said, "Of course I'm confident of Spurs staying up. These are players, they are a good group of players and they have bad habits. Nobody can tell me we don't have quality, but we need to change a mental switch and have this mental sharpness to be in the game from the first and second minutes and to have the physicality." He then went on to say, "One or two players did not have good moments, but it can happen. Too many players had problems. That's the result." Now, the Opta supercomputer still has West Ham United at 70.8% as favourites to be relegated alongside Burnley with 97.8% and Wolves 100%. Opta have given Nottingham Forest a 23.2% chance of going down, with Spurs at just 4.8% and Leeds United at only 2.2%. The Daily Express have just reported that Darwin Núñez, the former Liverpool star, could be making a surprise Premier League return this summer. He is currently playing in the Saudi Pro League for Al Hilal. Tottenham and Newcastle are reportedly interested in the Uruguay international. Now, Pedro Porro and Kevin Danso are back in training at Hotspur Way. They both trained on Wednesday. There is now hope that Igor Tudor will have the defensive duo in the squad for the Fulham game on Sunday in the Premier League. Pundit Chris Sutton has been talking about Spurs interim boss Igor Tudor. He said what is really astonishing, in his first press conference, he was so positive about Spurs staying up, and then it's taken him one game for the doom and gloom to set in. Now, Alan Brazil on TalkSport talking about former Tottenham Hotspur boss Mauricio Pochettino and a possible move back to Tottenham for a second managerial spell. He said the latest is that they, Spurs, haven't even spoken to Pochettino. I don't know what they are doing, and I don't think that they know what they are doing. The Daily Telegraph have just reported that Liverpool, Manchester United and Tottenham are interested in RB Leipzig's Ivory Coast winger Yan Diomande, but a deal could be complicated by a dispute over who currently represents the 19-year-old star. Gazzetta in Italy have just reported that Juventus have opened discussions with Tottenham's Italian goalkeeper Vicario, 29, but the Serie A club are also interested in Liverpool star Alisson. Now, Tottenham Hotspur will face either Galatasaray or Atlético Madrid in the last 16 of the Champions League. The draw will take place on Friday. If Spurs play Galatasaray and Tottenham win over the two legs, they will then face PSG, Barcelona or Chelsea in the quarter-finals. If Spurs play Atlético Madrid and Tottenham win that over two legs, they will then face Barcelona, Newcastle or Chelsea in the quarter-finals. Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode. Let's start by talking about Tottenham will be playing either Galatasaray or Atlético Madrid in the last 16. And, the first leg will be away from home. The second leg will be at home. So interesting teams there. Of course, whoever you play in the Champions League in the last 16, certainly getting down to the quarterfinals, you are playing some very, very tough games. But at the moment, we have 11 very, very crucial Premier League games coming up. So what does take the priority? If Spurs still have this whole host of injury issues, then where does the priorities lie? I'm sure the club will prioritise the Premier League over the Champions League. But of course, the draw will take place on Friday. It's weird saying a draw because it's either one team or the other, but that's the way it is. Talking about injured players coming back, Kevin Danso, Pedro Porro, great to see them in training on Wednesday. And from what I understand, they could and they should be in Igor Tudor's squad to face Fulham at the weekend on Sunday. So that is absolutely great news that he will have a couple of players back and a couple more options in that defensive area. So that is great news for Igor Tudor. Now, staying on the subject of the Spurs interim boss, he's come out and said, I'm confident of Spurs staying up. As I said on the previous episode, we really need 3 to 4 wins, I feel, and a couple of draws here and there as well. And Spurs will be, keeping Premier League status. When you look at some of the games that we've got to play, like next week, for example, after the Fulham game, next Thursday we'll be facing Crystal Palace at home. You've got to be winning that sort of game, especially at home. We haven't had a Premier League win in 2026 yet. And also the ones that I pointed out, you've got to be looking at Nottingham Forest at home. That's also in March. And you've also then got to be looking at games like Wolves away, and that is in April. So, a lot of points to play for, 33 in total actually to play for. And, Spurs need to get back to winning ways and pretty quickly. And, Igor Tudor stating that there is enough quality in this squad for Tottenham to stay in the Premier League. I completely agree. However, the players need to dig deep now. The players need to give absolutely everything. And most importantly, the players need to be listening to the manager, his instructions, because we cannot keep having these really poor habits. I get the fact that we have gone through 3 managers at Tottenham in the last 10 months. And I just think that some of these players don't know whether they're coming or going. And I think that some of them look really confused about, what they should actually be doing on the pitch, particularly in the defensive area. some of the defenders looked absolutely confused on Sunday against Arsenal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Under Ange, under Thomas Frank, now under Tudor, they need to be forgetting what they've done in the past, and Tudor's now coming in. He is the man in charge. They should be listening to his instructions and listening to what he wants right now, because he is the man that they have put the trust into to bring him in and to get results and get performances up where we are going to pick up results. But as I said, great news on having Pedro Porro and Kevin Danso back to give the manager a few more options. Opta have given Spurs a 4.8% chance of going down. That is pretty good. The percentage for the likes of West Ham, Nottingham Forest are far greater than Tottenham, and it looks like Leeds United will be staying in the Premier League, having been newly promoted last year. Now, interest in Uruguay striker Darwin Núñez. I tell you what, I would just hope that Spurs aim a lot higher, and I mean that with respect. I know he's got Premier League experience. That's probably what Tottenham are looking at with the Premier League experience, but I think that Spurs should be going for a much better striker than that. And let's face it, there is a lot of work to do in the summer. And I do expect Spurs to be staying in the Premier League, but there is a lot of work to do. There really is. They need to identify top players. They need to be bringing in top players. They need to spend a lot of money, and the recruitment needs to be absolutely spot on. Decision making has to be absolutely spot on. And the ambition, they've got to be ambitious. This football club has to be ambitious in the summer and pull out all the stops and absolutely go for it, because at the moment we are falling behind and absolutely rapid behind, some of our rivals, some of our London rivals, some of our Premier League rivals. We have fallen behind massively. This football club has changed in a very, very short amount of time, and it hasn't changed for the better. It has changed for the worse over these last couple of seasons. Now, Vicario is apparently in talks with Juventus. I've said this on many episodes before. I do expect Vicario to go out the door in the summer. This is another area where Spurs will need to look at, whether they see Kinski as Tottenham's number one, or whether they will go out and sign another goalkeeper. Let's wait and see on that one. TalkSport, in particular, Alan Brazil has stated that Spurs have not had any contact at all with Mauricio Pochettino. As I've said on this channel many times, and as I've said generally many times, nothing surprises me as a Spurs fan. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Pochettino ended up walking through the door in the summer. It also wouldn't surprise me if we went for a manager that we've never heard of coming through the door in the summer. And it also wouldn't surprise me if Igor Tudor was given the job on a permanent basis in the summer also. So none of these things, none of these scenarios, none of these appointments would actually surprise me anymore. Would I like Mauricio Pochettino back? I think that he would certainly bring the fan base back together. But as I've said a million times on this channel now, it doesn't matter whether Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Pochettino walk through the door. It don't matter who it is right now. The football club need to change unless we change the way that we do things, unless we change our attitude, unless we change the decision making. I know they've spoken out about the wage structure. There are so many things that we could talk about all day and all night about things that need to change at the football club. But unless these things do change, then nothing will drive this football club forward, because drastic changes need to be made in order for us to be fighting on all fronts and being successful once again. Now, Tottenham will face either Galatasaray or Atlético Madrid in the last 16. Of course, the Champions League games for Tottenham and any football side, Champions League games are highly important, but what is more important right now, it is Premier League status. I said this on a previous episode as well. It seems like we can't really get excited about the Champions League because we're all worried, desperately worried about a possible relegation, and Spurs need to be picking up points and fast. But let's see what happens with the Champions League. I think that at some point Spurs might need to even prioritise, certain games. Certainly if the Fulham game doesn't go our way on Sunday, Spurs will need to prioritise these Premier League games over these Champions League games, perhaps. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe and well. I'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.